GamerPoets strives to create the most informative and easy-to-navigate tutorials available, driven by viewer feedback and contribution. What some would do in multiple videos, we do in one. Since the videos are packed full of so much information, a lot of which the general viewer may not even care to know, navigation is provided to accommodate the individual as much as possible. Navigation is appropriately labeled within the sidebar via annotations to each major section. Occasionally, if and when it's needed, a sliding tray will drop down from the top right of the user interface. This has been implemented to allow viewers to skip over information that does not pertain to them in a progressive manner without having to check the video description or without having to guess while dragging on the timeline. However, the video description does provide navigation to every section of the tutorial step by step, and I recommend that it be utilized on subsequent viewings. Finally, video platforms such as YouTube are subject to change. The GamerPoets video interface has been organized in a way that hopes to weather future amendments within the platform. Though, the older this video gets, the more potential there is for the annotations to be hindered. SKSE, the Skyrim script extender, is a modder's resource that expands the scripting capabilities of the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. It allows mod authors to go beyond the limitations of the Skyrim creation kit, which in turn allows mod users to utilize the end product. Just to name a few things that SKSE makes possible: key press detection, the creation of new user interface elements, scaling of physical attributes, the allowance of SKSE-based mods to support gamepad use, and much more. SKSE only supports the most recent version of Skyrim, 1.9.32. As I express in all of the installation tutorials, outdated or cracked versions of games are not only unsupported, but will most likely not work correctly even when they are not being modded. For SKSE to work, Skyrim must first be launched from one of its executable files to establish its system registries and file paths. To easily complete the SKSE installation, as well as to configure the Skyrim memory patch, you are going to need to make sure that you have an archive program installed to your system, as well as having your file extensions revealed. There are links in the video description to tutorials on both. Navigate to skse.silverlock.org. Locate the current stable build, which is currently version 1.7.3, and select the 7-zip archive link to the right of it. If you prefer to download the recent beta version, if there is one at the time, feel free to do so while keeping in mind what a beta is. For easy access, save the SKSE archive to your desktop. You can delete the archive after it's installed if you choose. Locate the SKSE archive on your system. Right-click it. Select Extract Here to allow your archival program to unpack its contents. A single SKSE folder will be extracted. Delete the SKSE archive or save it somewhere safe if desired. Open the SKSE folder. Read the text files in the main folder if desired, and then delete them as they are not needed. Those files are the SKSE docs.txt, SKSE papyrus docs.txt, the SKSE readme, and the SKSE what's new text file. If you are not a programmer and are adding SKSE to your game as a mod, as the majority of us are doing, you can delete the SRC folder as well. However, keeping it will not cause you any issues, and it could be useful in unforeseen future scenarios. Highlight the remaining 3 or 4 or 5 files and copy them: the SKSE 1932.dll, the SKSE loader.exe, and the SKSE steamloader.dll. If desired, the SRC folder, and for those who are not using Mod Organizer, also be sure to copy the data folder. Mod Organizer users do not copy it. In the second window, navigate to the Skyrim game folder: Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Skyrim. Paste the files and folders into the Skyrim folder. For non-Mod Organizer users, the installation process for SKSE is complete. To see how to launch SKSE through Nexus Mod Manager, skip to the next subsection of this tutorial. Mod Organizer users, you should install the SKSE scripts to Mod Organizer itself as a mod. While you could simply follow the aforementioned instructions and install everything to the Skyrim folder for SKSE to work, there are more than a few reasons as to why this next section exists.
The most obvious reasons are to keep your data folder untouched from modding and being able to run Skyrim free of all modification if you need to for any reason, quick and easily. However, probably the most significant reason is that you could install the mod to Mod Organizer that overwrites an SKSE script without realizing it if installing the SKSE scripts to the game folder. Following these instructions will allow you to avoid that potential issue. Navigate to the Mod Organizer folder. If following the Mod Organizer's start to finish guide, it will be located in the Skyrim folder. Within the Mod Organizer folder, open the Mods folder. Within the Mods folder, right-click and create a new folder. Name the folder SKSE Scripts and put the version of SKSE in the name if you desire. Open the new SKSE Scripts folder. Back in the SKSE Folders window, open the Data folder. Copy the Scripts folder. Paste the scripts into the new SKSE Scripts folder. Delete the SKSE folder that is on your desktop. Open Mod Organizer. Scroll to the bottom of the left pane. Select and drag the SKSE Scripts mod to the very top of your left pane load order so that it has a priority of 0. Activate the checkbox. To launch Skyrim through SKSE, select the drop-down menu next to Run. Select SKSE. Run it. If SKSE is not automatically detected, navigate to Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Skyrim, and launch the game via the SKSE Loader executable. Doing this will establish the necessary file paths and allow Mod Organizer to detect it. You can also add the executable manually in Mod Organizer's Modify Executables window, as shown in the Mod Organizer Start to Finish guide. Mod Organizer users can skip to the next main section of the tutorial. To launch Skyrim through SKSE, open Nexus Mod Manager. Select the arrow next to Launch Skyrim. Select Launch SKSE. NMM will automatically detect SKSE as shown in the Nexus Mod Manager Start to Finish guide. Launch SKSE. When you have made it to the game's main menu, use the tilde key to open the console. Type Get SKSE version and then push Enter. If a version is returned, then you have properly installed SKSE. If an error is returned, you need to double-check the installation steps. Different reports from different people have been given regarding the increasing of the values suggested within the Skyrim memory patch portion of this guide. Some say that increasing the values give them CTD and infinite loading screen. Others say that increasing them has helped to make their game even more stable than the suggested value. However, the settings given within this section have been shown to improve everyone's game without exception. The Skyrim memory patch, created by Shessen, expands Skyrim's memory block allocation and reserves to prevent and, in most cases, stop memory-related CTD and infinite loading screens. The two memory blocks that Skyrim utilizes are the default heap memory, which by default is 256 megabytes, and the scrap heap memory, which by default is also 256 megabytes. This memory system was designed to give the player 512 megabytes of on-screen memory. It does this by maxing out the default heap memory and creating the scrap heap block as a backup. Once the scrap heap block is at its maximum capacity, Skyrim will crash or freeze. However, being that Skyrim's scrap heap allocation is unstable, filling up the default heap block will simply crash or freeze Skyrim without ever being able to utilize any of the scrap heap memory. To avoid the unstable scrap heap memory block, but to still be able to use the intended 512 megabytes, Shessen created the Skyrim memory patch to assign an additional amount of memory to the default heap block right from the game's startup using the Skyrim script extender. All that we need to do to utilize the built-in memory patch is establish the proper settings within the SKSE ini file. Mod Organizer users, open Mod Organizer. Right-click the SKSE Scripts mod in the left pane, select Open in Explorer. Non-Mod Organizer users, navigate to Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Skyrim, and open the Data folder. All users. These locations, depending on how you are modding your game, is where you will find the SKSE folder. If the SKSE folder does not exist, right-click in the blank space and create a new folder. Name it SKSE. In the SKSE folder, open the SKSE ini file. If the SKSE ini does not exist, right-click and create a new text document. Rename the document, being sure to delete the file extension .txt. Name the file skse.ini. In the SKSE ini, add the following: First, create the section memory in brackets, and just beneath, create the setting default heap initial alloc MB and set it to a value of 768. Beneath that, create the setting scrap heap size MB and set this to a value of 256. Close the SKSE ini file and be sure to save it. Default heap initial alloc MB minus the scrap heap size MB gives you the total available on-screen memory. The scrap heap size MB should always be left at 256. If you decide to try your hand at raising the default heap initial alloc MB setting, increase by values of 256. If you receive any issues or oddities, come back to the ini and change the value back to 768. When working with ini files, do not create more than one section header and place the settings directly beneath any of the others that are within this section, leaving only one setting per line. All of the following settings are optional and can be used together or by themselves. Create the section debug in brackets. Beneath it, the setting write minidumps equals 1. This will allow SKSE to write a minidump to My Documents, My Games, Skyrim, SKSE, and into the minidumps folder in the case of a crash to desktop. Create the section display in brackets. Beneath display, create the setting I tint texture resolution, and you can set this to one of four values: 256, which is the vanilla value, 512, 1024, or 2048. This setting will set the resolution of Warpaint and other tint textures. Create the section in brackets General. Beneath General, create the setting Clear Invalid Registrations and set it to 1. This allows SKSE to remove broken registrations on startup. This helps with game bloating and save file corruption prevention. Still within the General section, create the setting Enable Diagnostics and set it to 1. This adds diagnostic messages that help to detect the cause of common crashes and issues. If a missing master file is causing CTD on startup, it will tell you which file is missing and will list the missing files in the Removed Content dialog pop-up when loading a save. When you are done making changes or adding settings, don't forget to save. There are a few mods for Skyrim that require their own ini file. Most of these mods are properly configured and do not need anything extra done to them. However, some are not. Some mods that are based on SKSE, just like SKSE itself, require their own ini file to get the most out of them. Some mods may not work at all without an ini file. While these mods should come pre-packaged with their own ini, in the case that they don't, or in the case that they need to be configured differently, this is how you find and/or establish them. Nexus Mod Manager users, skip to the next subsection of this tutorial. Mod Organizer users, open Mod Organizer. Locate the SKSE-based mod in the left pane that you wish to adjust or create an ini for. Right-click it, select Open and Explore. In the mod folder that will have opened, open the SKSE folder. If one does not exist, right-click in the blank space and create a new folder. In the SKSE folder, open the Plugins folder or create one if need be. Here you should see the .dll file bearing the name of the mod. If the DLL does not exist, you need to look through the mod archive that you downloaded to find it and move it here. If you cannot find it, then you need to contact the mod author. Right-click in the blank space and create a new text document. Rename it, being sure to delete everything, including the file extension .txt. Rename the file, letter for letter, space for space, exactly how the DLL file name is, though instead of ending the name with the extension .dll, it will end with the extension ini. Open the new ini file and add the settings displayed on the mod's page or in the mod's readme, or from wherever you found the information to add an ini file to it. Mod Organizer users can skip to the next main section of this tutorial, Nexus Mod Manager users. Navigate to the mod archive of the SKSE-based mod that you wish to adjust or create the ini file for. Copy the archive and paste it to your desktop. Right-click the archive. Select Extract here. Delete the archive from your desktop. Keep track of all of the files and folders that were extracted because you will need to repack them into a new archive in a moment. If a folder named SKSE was unpacked from the archive, open it. If there is not an SKSE folder, create a new folder, name it SKSE. In the SKSE folder, open the Plugins folder or create one if need be. Here you should see the .dll file bearing the name of the mod. If the DLL does not exist, you need to look through the mod's archive that you downloaded to find it and move it here. If you cannot find it, then you need to contact the mod author. Right-click in the blank space and create a new text document. Rename it, being sure to delete everything, including the file extension .txt. Rename the file, letter for letter, space for space, exactly how the DLL file name is, though instead of ending the name with the extension .dll, it will end with the extension .ini. Open the new ini file and add the settings displayed on the mods page, or in the mods readme, or from wherever you found the information to add an ini file to it. When you have saved the new ini settings, highlight all of the files, including the new SKSE folder that came with the original archive. Right-click and add all of the files to a new archive and give it the same name of whatever the original archive was. Install this new mod to Nexus Mod Manager and overwrite, replace, or delete the old one. If you want to use SKSE with the Skyrim Creation Kit to write scripts for SKSE, non-Mod Organizer users will be able to do this right out of the box. However, Mod Organizer users, because MO is a 32-bit program, at least the version for use with Skyrim is, it doesn't properly execute the 64-bit Papyrus script compiler. To get the compiler to work with MO, you need to run it in 32-bit mode. While there is a manual way of performing this task, the easiest way is to download and install the Papyrus compiler patch for x64 systems. Navigate to nexusmods.com/skyrim/mods/65578. Open the Files tab. Download the main file. A single executable will download. Double-click the executable to launch it. If you receive a user account control warning, select Yes. When the Papyrus compiler patch window opens, select Start. If the patch cannot detect the Papyrus compiler.exe, be sure that you actually have the Skyrim Creation Kit installed, and if it is, select the ellipsis to the right of the target file field and navigate to Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Skyrim, Papyrus Compiler. Double-click the Papyrus compiler.exe, select Start. Read the pop-up message confirming that the process succeeded. Select OK. You can now launch the Creation Kit through Mod Organizer as normal and create SKSE-based mods if you choose. I would like to take a moment to thank all of you for watching this video. A special thank you to Gopher for providing the memory block allocation information where I first stumbled upon the knowledge. Another thank you to Sagittarius22 for the creation of the SKSE for Lazy Users mod on Nexus. For those who don't wish to type out the SKSE ini settings or to even copy and paste them from the description, Sagittarius has provided his own SKSE ini for download. The majority of the settings mentioned should be there. Another thank you to the Step Wiki project, as most of the material in this video was found there. A specific thank you to Greg, a Step moderator, for providing me with some very useful information, and to W of Step for also providing me with some very useful information, as well as for the creation of the Papyrus compiler patch for x64 systems. And another thank you to two community members, YT Beth for motivating me to add Nexus Mod Manager 2 tutorials to begin with, and to Raymond Alcantara for the idea to create a mod-specific ini file section for SKSE. And as always, I am Michael of GamerPoets. Thank you for watching.